We've had a few more people come in, Rafe, and I've just like sort of admitted them.
Brilliant.
Through the waiting
Cheers.
room.
Looks like most people are back with us. Yeah, I reckon. Do you want to dive into the next bit?
Yeah, no problem at all. Can everybody still see the screen? Everybody still got that on the screen? It's all amazing. Great stuff. We're going to move to the next one then. Some more of the hands out there on the walls, as you can see. And this piece is Riverside Landscape by Amelia Rouse. Do we have Amelia in?
No, we do not.
Okay, perfect. No problem. Yeah, so this piece, again, it's one of those pieces that we just, we were sort of blown away by immediately by the intricacy of it. It's every single piece of this is a very finely detailed hand-drawn line that was then sort of taken a photograph or a print of and sent in to us. It just shows the sort of the dedication and people who get completely absorbed and lost into creating their art, and it's you know, incredibly cathartic. But yes, so she is an artist and civil engineer from Barbados, now living in the UK. She loves to make landscape illustrations using pen and ink, which slows down the drawing process in a nice meditative way. Emilia says nature offers endless inspiration. Drawing landscapes and natural things have always appealed to her. Some of her work explores nature reclaiming urban landscapes and the idea that we are just a small moment in time compared to the life of Earth. Emilia has really started working in 3D animation as well. Yeah, I can definitely see those things coming through in this piece. And yeah, it's one of our favorites, very much so. Right, I will click on this point and we'll move on to the next one. And this is Child in Nature by Cyro. Do we have Cyro in?
Not to my knowledge, we don't know. Didn't respond, so I think this is for you as well. Sorry, I think it might be all for you.
No problem at all. But yes, so this is a pseudonym used by the artist, and Cyro itself is an indigenous Guarani word meaning to protect, preserve, and save. Cyro completed her studies in art and psychology at the University of Rennes in France, Barcelona in Spain, and Porto Alegre in Brazil. Her research focused on the theme of artistic miscegenation, observing natural, cultural, and spiritual phenomena. Having taught art at the National Institute of Fine Arts at the University of Uruguay, Cyro's work took on a radical environmental dimension. She has strong experience in clay modeling, especially used as the means of therapeutic care for adults and children to improve their mental health. An interesting thing to note is that Cyro uses natural pigments and keeps searching and experimenting with new works in her drawings and paintings. We do see this in this piece, where we can see that she's obviously made her own paints and possibly even made sort of the paper or canvas that this was painted on, and it creates this really interesting layers of texture and stuff like that in this piece that we really liked. It feels like this is a painting of nature made from nature, and that's just wonderful to see. In this artwork, she made use of soil, charcoal, mate herb, and turmeric. Mate, we all know, is a delicious Bolivian drink or Argentinian drink. Also in Brazil and Uruguay as well. And this is where she's been living for the past 8 years. She's also really concerned about the preservation of flora and fauna, and her artistic production uses minimalist collage, recycled and organic materials with poetic text to illustrate this concern. Cyro is now investigating the use of natural medicine and plants and how this practice can be related to art. So there's some wonderful depth to not only what she's doing, but what she's created in this piece here. Again, another one of our absolute favorites. I say that about everybody's piece because it's always true. This issue really knocked it out of the park. We were blown away. Just going to move on to the next one now. Got the statue of the fox there. For those of you that know what that represents. Do we have Jamila Walker in the...
We have Jamila Walker in the audience, but you're going to do the introduction for her.
Okie dokie, perfect. No problem at all. I'll try not to mess this up for you then, Jamila. She's a Midlands-based artist who uses found objects and demonstrates a fascination with the minutiae of the everyday. Her art suggests ambivalent feelings towards her chosen subjects through these implied self-determined narratives and this wit and humor. You can definitely see this in this piece. Jamila creates quite candid work from a vibrant palette of ideas using various textures and color, and These digital manipulations of mixed media enable her to construct visual worlds and characters. Jamila is also a photographer who seeks to challenge the classic theory that the camera never lies and completely subvert it. The camera always lies. It's wonderful. In addition to being an exhibiting artist, Jamila is involved in community arts. She's involved in commissions and is a member of various creative colleges, including Here and Elixir Arts, both wonderful things. Jamila was an Arts for Health mentor for Telford Mind and has been invited to give artist talks at various galleries. She's undertaken various artist residencies and has had various creative roles within the heritage sector. Additionally, Jamila has undertaken web layout and image design for Participate Contemporary Art Space. It's a lot of really cool stuff. Specifically about this piece, we do have some of the things that Jamila wanted to say about this piece as well. She said her inspiration behind this was that I made this piece in response to the guilt about the environment, the animals, the oceans, etc. And this guilt that I feel when I forget my bag for life at the shops, plus how shockingly often said plastic bags appear in public, people smoking indoors in films prior to the UK smoking ban. I also do enjoy saying nah in response to requests to go places and do things that I don't want to do. It feels liberating, exciting, despite the social awkwardness, and doesn't seem to me as abrupt as a flat no. So I think, yeah, that sense of humor, this creativity, this bold use of color, this use of humor, it's all present in this piece, and it's one of the reasons why we love it so much. So thank you very much, Jamila, for sending that in to us. That is the last of the art pieces we have to display. So we're just going to take a walk back around to the first one, and then I will turn my screen off and we can go on to the next stage. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. These are some wonderful artists, and we've had so much fun voting on and going through these pieces to put in here. Thank you.
Cheers for that, man. Yeah, if there's some artists here might be interested in holding their own virtual exhibitions and stuff. As Menon said, ArtStep was the software that was used to create that. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So to welcome up next, we're going to have someone reading their non-fiction piece. Alan Van Wijgerden, are you in the chat with us? I see Alan. Yes, Alan's going to read for us from the piece called The Malverns.
Yeah, about a trip out with my parents. I'm hoping I might get a bit closer to the microphone. Am I about the right volume level?
Yeah, that's brilliant. We can hear you great, Alan. Cheers.
Okay. The Malverns. I'd wanted to photograph the Malverns again for some time, and I was on one of its peaks called British Camp, an old hill fort. The spine of the hill stretched for miles. You could see the weather fronts rolling in. Now it rained in British Camp and the sun shone in the distance. 10 minutes later, it was vice versa. The people on the peak seemed to vary with the weather too. If the sun shone, people in their summer clothes with young children appeared. The children smiling, gurgling and running around as only young children can. If the weather turned for the worse, more hardy types walked up, dressed in stout boots, with Peter Storm jackets, carrying rucksacks, pausing for group photos with their friends like they'd just climbed K2. The hills are just high enough to be proper mountains, if there is such a thing, and I could see how in winter you might come unstuck climbing them if you didn't approach with due respect. The changing sunlight on the fields below made an already dappled quilted field effect into something dynamic. The colours coming bright then dull as the light changed, like some giant neon advertising sign. I was communing with nature. It's an old saying, but appropriate. You could feel the mountain's atmosphere like sea and salt air at the seaside. It was visceral with liminal changes, sometimes subtle, other times rough and ready. But I could see a patch of blue sky in the distance, and I knew that when it got to the foot of the hills and the sun shone through, it was perfectly like my scene. It was an effect no amount of lights and generators could copy. The wind buffeted me. I swayed like a drunk but stood my ground. It rained horizontally. I pulled my hood up. I got my shot and returned to the world of the car park down below, with its pay and display machines and a shop selling ice cream and chips with everything. Mum and Dad waited in the car. Dad said he'd have loved to climb too. He'd been a mountain goat when he was younger, they both had. But now at 83, he looked at the view from the seats near the car park and drank tea from his thermos. It had been a great day. There you go. Hope that wasn't too long.
That was excellent, Alan. Thank you very much for reading that. What I love about that is it's a piece of prose writing, but it's written by an artist, like someone who does photography and filmmaking. So you get the artist's perspective in the writing. So best of both worlds. Thank you for sharing that with us, Alan. What I'm going to welcome up next is another poet. We've got Emilie Lauren Jones is going to share some of her work with us.
Hey, it's lovely to be here. This is such a lovely event. It's really nice to hear everyone's work, and there's such a variety. I'll advertise it. So I always forget I'm in the mirror image from oh, I'm suddenly gone big on the screen. That's not great. I have to read it like that. This is called The Quiet Preserving of Clover. You led me away, saying you knew my mother, offered hands soft as hillside moss, and took me to the forest, fulfilling tree house home promise before burning the ladder so nothing bad could reach us. Removing your coat, your hands guided my fingers down the scar tracks of stolen wings. I relished gifts of four-leaf clovers, plucked from the freckled flower bed of your skin, pressed them with heavy dictionary pages. They lay somewhere after garlic and goat. A rabbit's foot swung from your neck, your smile still imprinted on its severed end. I danced to tinkling coins in your pockets, my mouth an awe-filled oh, you stowed copper riches under my tongue. Smiled as a patina of words left my lips, then picked them from the air like flowers, ripping each syllable from its stem, singing, she loves me not. Birds screeched your name into the sky, grasping red berries, refusing to nest near us, suckling juice from leaves until they withered, sharpening incisors with twigs. You ignored my pleas to see life beyond our treehouse cage viewing point. Today, I rediscovered forgotten treasures, stashed between definitions of giants and guyots. You are too busy listening to the tiny crack of ant cuticles crunching under the pressure of your thumb to see me throwing four-leaf clovers into the clouds. I gaze at my spinning emerald helicopters. Taking 3 in each hand, I leap. Slow, spiraling descent towards freedom, realizing I'd never needed a ladder. And I've got one more on the screen here. So this one was in Rigwelter magazine a few months ago, and it's called Brown Blossom. It's basically a praise poem for maggots, essentially. I figured they didn't have one already. Egg cracks, tubular body squirms, microscopic fangs first, drags her temporary form through the dirt, then, suckling on decay, prepares for fossilizing. Brown blossom in a world of candy floss lovers. This is no fairy tale. This is maggot to bluebottle. They'll never call her beautiful, but she'll have eyes like flashing lava and armor the color of peacock feathers. Thank you, Rafe.
Thanks very much for both of those, Emily. Excellent reading, and nice to hear your poetry again.